So now if we may move on to debate. So would any members wish to debate this? And I don't see any at the moment. Councillor Baines.
Thank you,
You're all
Leader.
coming forward now.
Thank you, Leader. When I read this document, it's something that I don't have a lot of experience around, but when I read the words housing delivery action plan, those words say to me that it's an action plan that needs deliverable outcomes. On reading the document to the end, I don't know whether that satisfies, my curiosity from a layperson without a lot of planning expertise, or actually no planning expertise, might I add. So there are a couple of things that, when you read to get some more knowledge of certain areas, one of the things that is definitely a barrier to developers building on sites is the infrastructure. Now, we've discussed this, till we're blue in the face, but I've also read about things like 15-minute neighbourhoods, and a lot of the proposed sites don't have that infrastructure or don't have the ability to travel or sustainable travel links to enable somebody to want to live there, and perhaps developers to develop out to the maximum capacity of that development. So, one of my fears around this is, have we done enough? Have we got enough deliverable, achievable outcomes out of this document? And would it be a live document? I know it's a really, really good start, and from what I've heard of the officers, it complements our local plan, etc. But does it do enough for our young people? Are we being innovative enough in its content? And Councillor Pike quoted the figure of 1,632 families on our waiting list. Are we doing enough within this document to ensure that number is lowered to an extent where affordable housing is our primary aim? So a good start, but there's lots of things that still need answered in my very inexperienced planning head.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Baines. Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Leader. I take on board what Councillor Baines has said. We've got to be really careful, because we read this housing delivery action plan, we're marking our own homework now, which I'm always feeling very uncomfortable with, because we put up a proposition as to terms of the cause of our non-delivery or low delivery, and the things that we can do to bring it about. If we were responsible for the failure to deliver new housing and completed housings in our borough, I'd be the first one to say mea culpa. Absolutely no doubt about that. But as you can see by the approvals, we are not the barrier to completion. Theoretically, on the average of 504 per year, there are over 3 years worth of completions that we have already approved, 3.5 years that we can achieve. We've got other stuff coming in through the pipeline that will increase that number considerably. We have no mechanism to apply pressure to those individuals to build out those properties to a manner that we would see more appropriate, recognising our housing numbers. I do believe that this is a technical document. We've failed to meet the housing delivery target, and we are obliged to provide an action plan as to how we can meet that in the future. I believe that COVID and nutrient neutrality has placed restrictions on us that would otherwise not have created the drop that we have seen. And therefore, I'm hoping that this is an outlier in terms of where we currently are. And if we can start building out those approvals and bring more approvals in, particularly the high capacity ones, such as Wellington Way, 40 acres will start being built out now, potentially Campdown as well. We will hopefully see those numbers increase. I think we are having a robust and accepted and agreed local plan will also be beneficial to us, because it gives certainty to the development industry to know that we have a borough that is open and an adopted local plan, and they know where they can and where we would encourage them to be building. So I'd like you to note this and recognise that this is what it is. It's a requirement under the housing delivery test to deliver this, and that's what we're doing. And I think that if we are remiss in what we're doing, I'm sure the planning inspector will point that out to us when he reviews our local plan.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. And of course, the action plan does actually note the fact that we have actually gone a long way to dealing with the issues, namely the nutrient neutrality issue, and coming up with an innovative way of dealing with that. And that has stopped that issue stopped an awful lot of development, particularly the brownfield development, and it led to us having this counterintuitive situation where it was better to build on greenfield than brown. And now, hopefully, that issue's been addressed, and that goes a long way to dealing with our issues with the 5-year supply. And Councillor Hughes will recall that obviously the government was sufficiently impressed with that scheme to send for the Minister of State to attend, and Rebecca Powell. And when she was here, you will recall that I raised that issue with her, the fact that we had all these extant planning applications that were just not being built out, and that was not something that was within our control. And I think that was a message that I wanted to get back to government, that there are the actual logjam is sometimes more complicated than perhaps it may appear. It's not about councils necessarily holding up development. It's more to do with supply and demand and the individual issues and the business requirements of particular developments. And we all know that it's not in a developer's best interest to flood the market with their houses. But of course, this plan, we have to remember, is over a period to 2037. So it's an evolving plan, and I'm pretty confident that by the time we come to review this, the situation will have changed again, as long as the external factors don't get in the way. And of course, who knows what is going to happen in future months. Hopefully, we will be getting back to a normal life, or as normal as possible, and we'll be seeing the development getting back to something close to normal. And I know that one of the issues earlier on, particularly the first lockdown, apart from the economic uncertainties, was the practical issue of the lack of materials coming through. So there are some very real practical issues which have led to the current situation. So hopefully next time we look at this, we'll be looking at planning issues solely, and hopefully we won't have that same problem with our supply. Anyone else wish to debate this? Councillor Rennie.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I think I'm in an unusual situation of speaking to you today, actually inside a housing development. I'm watching the trucks roll past my window as we speak, and I can look out my window and actually see houses being constructed in this borough. So I wanted to sort of give a message of reassurance. Obviously, we're talking a lot about our moral obligation to build homes, and we are still building homes in this borough. We have still ambitious targets to complete those homes. I agree with a lot of what my colleagues have said, in the sense that a lot of the problems we've faced this year have been outside our control, being COVID, have nutrient neutrality. But the ambition, I still believe from this authority, is to meet that housing target, and is to build, and it is to regenerate. So yes, we had a lot of factors outside our control this year. I think this action plan is hopefully going to set us on the right course. If it doesn't, then we can look at more ambitious targets or ways of meeting our requirements. But as far as I can see, we still have that ambition. We still consider ourselves as a pro-development authority, and I believe now we've got the nutrient issue out of the way, we can start working towards going back to meeting this target again. Although I would like to pick up one point that Councillor Pike made, I think a very valid point. I do agree with him that perhaps more work could be done to work with developers to try and unlock some of these approved sites. And if he's volunteering himself to speak with them, then maybe we can take him on an offer. But I think I fully support this plan, and I believe it's something that will set us on the right course and hopefully get us back to achieving our targets and delivering new homes for our residents.
Thank you, Councillor Rennie. Would any other members like to debate? I see none. So before we move to a vote, I will just remind members of what we're asked to do today, which is A, to note the need to publish an action plan as a result of the anticipated 2020 housing delivery test results for Havant Borough, together with the December 2020 5-year housing land supply update, and the implications of both of these for determining planning applications for housing. B, to approve the publication of a housing delivery action plan, which you have attached at Appendix 1 to your bundle. C, to delegate authority to the planning policy manager in consultation with the Cabinet Lead for Planning, Hailing Seafront Strategy and Commercial Services to make any necessary amendments to the action plan. And D, to note the inclusion of the action plan as a submission document with the Havant Borough Council local plan for independent examination. So Councillor Hughes, you are proposing. Do I have a seconder? Well, I would like to second, and I will now ask members in turn whether they vote for, against or abstain. So Councillor Baines.
For.
Councillor Bowerman.
For.
Councillor Inkster.
For.
Councillor Rennie.
For.
Councillor Thane-Smith.
For.
Councillor Turner.
For, Leader.
Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Leader. That vote is carried.
Thank you.